Fox 4 News starts right now.
The partial government shutdown is entering its 5th week. Lawmakers are back to work trying to reopen the government, but the president's latest proposal seems to be going nowhere. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan is in Washington with the latest.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is hopeful.
One Southeast Texas hotspot is stepping up to help furloughed workers get a hot meal until the government shutdown is over. Fox 4's Natalie Haddad joins us in the studio to tell us about it. Natalie?
Yeah, Kim, after jumping a few hurdles.
All right, Natalie, thank you. Well, it's windy but warmer outside this evening. However, things will soon be changing. And for that, let's go to meteorologist Chad Sandwell, who joins us now. And Chad, I understand that Old Man Winter is trying to make a creep back into our forecast.
Well, it's really going to be kind of a replay of what we saw Friday night into Saturday. All
right, Chad, thank you. Right now, Beaumont police are searching for several men accused of robbing 2 Express Mart convenience stores. A store clerk was held at gunpoint during each one. Fox 4's Quentin Hope joins us live from Express Mart at I-10 in Washington. Quentin, what's the latest?
We're Kimberly, Beaumont PD.
Quentin, thank you. Educators in the Nederland School District now get to cash more than $16,000 in checks for their classrooms to add to the learning experience. Members of the Nederland Educational Foundation boarded a school bus this morning to surprise educators in the district that applied for grants. The grant money was collected through fundraisers and donations. 23 out of 44 educators were selected to receive checks for new and innovative ideas in the classroom.
Teachers aren't able to afford to get everything that they need. So our grants committee reviews all the grants applications, and as long as they're educational and they're going to be beneficial to the students as a whole in the classroom, we try to award as many as we can.
The foundation has awarded more than $168,000 since 1997 and plans to hand out even more grant money next year.
This was that second explosion, Kim, that happened around 1:50 this afternoon.
That is shocking video there. And you see a projectile go into the air, it launches in the air after that explosion. We don't know what that is, how far it went, but we do know, like we said, a second explosion, and you can see the video there. We want to give you a quick timeline also that we've been following all day for you. You've been staying on air and online with us, and we appreciate you. Here's the timeline. 1 a.m. was the first explosion. Around that time, many of you said that it woke you up out of your sleep, broke your windows, smashed your doors in. And then around 10 a.m., TPC held a news conference saying that 3 employees were injured in that, 2 employees of TPC, 1 contractor, and they were taken to the hospital and checked out and said to be okay. And then at 1:50 p.m., that's when we got reports of the second explosion. Our very own Angel San Juan, who's about to join us live here in just a moment, he was actually recording video at the time and saw it and felt it himself nearby. And then at 2:40 p.m., Judge Jeff Brannick issued a mandatory evacuation for those living in Port Neches and Grove. So if you're watching and hearing this right now and you live in the area, you're not there and you still have to make it back home, there is a mandatory evacuation for that area. And right now we want to go out to Angel San Juan, who is standing by live for us nearby the TPC plant. Angel, you are not far away, so tell us what's going on and where you are, and most importantly also what you are smelling and seeing right now.
And I can confirm that the situation is improving, but we are not completely out of the woods yet.
Jefferson County Judge Jeff Brannick cautiously optimistic about the situation at the Port Neches blast site, what that means for the thousands of Southeast Texans out of their homes on this Thanksgiving. And a look at TPC's history in Port Neches. What is the company's reputation like with the EPA, and how much money has it had to shell out?
Pretty quiet the next day or so, but Saturday evening look for a few storms to return to Southeast Texas.
Fox 4 News starts right now.
Tonight, we're continuing our coverage of the TPC explosion that's left houses damaged and a plume of smoke billowing into the air. At a news conference earlier today, officials say they still don't know when people can expect to go back home safely, even though some are already going back, and they still don't know what may have caused the explosions. And tonight, officials say the fire is contained but not controlled. More than 50,000 people now remain under a mandatory evacuation order. Fox's Maria Salazar has been digging into TPC's compliance history with state and federal environmental agencies.
For the past 3 years,
that was Fox's Maria Salazar reporting. Jefferson County Judge Jeff Brannick says the situation at the burning plant is improving, but we're not out of the woods just yet. In the news conference this afternoon, Judge Brannick says he will not lift the mandatory evacuation order for the 4-mile radius surrounding TPC until he's convinced that citizens will be safe. A decision could come as early as tomorrow morning when the judge meets with emergency responders. TPC has set up a hotline for citizens who suffered damages as a result of Wednesday's blast. Now that will extend to evacuation expenses.
Any claims that the displaced families and
a 10 o'clock curfew will be in place through the duration of the mandatory evacuation order. Port Neches Police Chief Paul Lemoyne says 2 arrests were made last night. Officers stopped a car violating curfew, and they say drugs were found inside that vehicle. Well, now we'll turn our attention to weather with meteorologist Chad Sandwell, who's also been keeping an eye on the smoke plume that's been coming from that plant for us. So tonight, Chad, does it look any different?
Really not a lot different than it did this afternoon. We still see some.
All right, thank you, Chad. As we mentioned earlier, many residents are going back to their homes in Port Neches after the explosions at the TPC plant. Fox 4's Han Radford reports why families decided to return.
Smoke lingers across.
In other news tonight, investigators say there are no survivors from a small plane crash in Canada. 7 people, including 3 children on board, were killed after the plane went down near Kingston, just miles from the U.S. border. None of them have been identified yet. Officials say the plane crashed less than 4 miles from Kingston's airport, where it was headed. An investigation into the incident is underway. There's no word yet on whether the flight was private or commercial. Forecasters predicted wind gusts of close to 50 miles an hour on Wednesday, but it's unclear if the winds played any role in the crash.
Second one in 12 hours or so.
Right, and that second explosion, we're still waiting to find out what caused that explosion. We don't know if it was in the same area as the first. As you can remember, we were telling you this morning that first explosion happened in a processing area which processes the butadiene, which is a colorless gas. It has a mild gasoline-like odor. So we don't know if it happened in the same area as that first explosion or if it happened in a different area. We don't know the cause of the explosion right now. And we do want to tell you too, because a lot of people again are concerned about what they're breathing in, what they're smelling, how this is affecting them. The acute low exposures according to OSHA, it may cause irritation to your eyes, throat, nose, lungs. And so earlier when we spoke to Angel, remember he was complaining about his nose running, and some of our other coworkers had the same thing. And so that, of course, we would have reason to believe that it would be linked to that. And right now we continue to follow the aftermath of the TPC plant explosion in Port Neches. There are some new developments to catch you up on today. The Unified Command Center tells Fox 4 there was a loud noise around 8:45 this morning, but Jefferson County Judge Jeff Brannick tells us it was from equipment settling and there's no cause for concern. The judge also tells us all towers inside the plant are expected to fall or be taken down. Also today, cleanup crews have been making their way across neighborhoods and nearby school campuses, searching for and clearing out debris that may have fallen from the blasts. Wednesday's explosions rocked neighborhoods, broke windows, and raised major concerns about the chemicals being released. Unified Command says the TPC fire is contained and significantly reduced. And now we want to check in on some of those homeowners who are looking in today as activity continued at the TPC plant in Port Neches. That's where we find Fox 4's Jessica Crawford. And Jessica, you spoke with some concern about foundation issues inside their homes.
All right, well, it's time for our Valentine's Day Text to Win contest again, but first let's announce our winner from Friday, which is Heather Little from Lumberton. She's the lucky one who won $230 worth of jewelry. I am jealous, from Isaac Barbosa Jewelers, so good for her. So for tonight's prize, that's why we are joined by Scott Hasty. He is from J. Scott's, a florist. So all of these beautiful arrangements that you have for us, tell us, how long have you been in business and why did you get in business?
Well, I have been in business with J. Scott's, a florist. It will be 26 years in April.
Okay.
And but totally 43 years in July, so let's not do the math.
Gotcha. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it passes if you have a passion for what you're doing.
Yes, it is a passion. And this is my Valentine collection here that I brought. And it shows our roses, our dozen roses here. It's in the Pretty in Quartz art glass.
Yes.
And they are with hydrangeas, and it's the roses, and it's stylized with those pink cymbidium orchids.
And they're so beautiful.
Aren't they pretty?
Yeah. I'm just gonna grab it for myself. This is beautiful. Okay, and so what's funny is I'm suffering from allergies right now, but I love flowers. That's the ironic thing. I love flowers, and who doesn't? The smell of them, just beautiful. So tell us what prize that you are offering tonight for our viewers.
The prize that we're offering tonight is our premium roses here in the Pretty in Quartz art glass vase.
Oh, beautiful.
But you can also get, look at that charmed unicorn.
I know, very cute there.
Yeah, isn't that cute?
Yes.
And then this is our premium tulips here, again in the art glass. You have your tulips, and it's collared with your sweet, unique roses, stylized with your cymbidium orchids.
Okay, well,
and then if you're wanting something more lasting, that would be the Phalaenopsis orchid in the mid-mod geometric container there.
Okay, well, real quick, let's go ahead and get to our word of the day for tonight. It is create. So all you have to do is text that word create to 30126, and you could possibly win this nice, beautiful display here. Oh, it smells so good and looks so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this with us and our viewers, and we'll be right back after the break. And now we're joined by Dr. Masanti Levine, who is joining us to talk about symptoms and calming fears over coronavirus, which is very important, Dr. Levine. And so first of all, I want to ask you, as a health professional, have you seen viruses like this before with patients?
Well, not really. I mean, we have these outbreaks periodically. We deal with the flu virus every year about the winter time, but certainly these outbreaks are not as common as a flu outbreak that we see typically each year. So we don't see it every year, but certainly we will continue to see some of these outbreaks over the years, of mankind.
And so what are the symptoms like for coronavirus? They may differ from other things like the flu.
Yeah, so it is a virus, so we will see the cough, we will see the low-grade fever, the chest congestion, shortness of breath. Sometimes it can create some gastrointestinal issues, such as diarrhea, abdominal pain, or nausea. But, the fever and cough and then shortness of breath, achiness are some of those typical viral symptoms that we see.
And so, of course, we don't want to scare people, okay? But what are some of the precautions that people should take if they have fears about traveling and going to places where there are a lot of people? What should they do?
Well, this is an evolving issue. We're learning new things every single day. The CDC website is a great resource for a lot of patients, even physicians like myself, because it is new and all of the specialists out there are learning every day. So that's a great website to go to look for hints about whether or not they should travel or not travel or stay quarantined, etc. These are some of the things that are being brought up each and every day.
Gotcha. And when do you know to go to the doctor? Just because you have a lingering cough or just because you have some other symptom doesn't necessarily mean you have coronavirus.
Yeah.
So when do you know to go to the doctor and get yourself checked out?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have any of those symptoms, certainly that it's new. If you're elderly, if you have immunocompromised conditions, if you have any chronic illnesses, anytime you get those viral symptoms, we would like the patients to get checked out. And again, certainly because of information that's new every single day, we're trying to figure out how to manage those patients every single day, how to test them, how to quarantine them, etc. So it's an evolving issue, but I think anytime you feel sick, certainly go in and seek medical care.
And another thing, just to touch on what you said, it is evolving. So
people need to pay attention, right? And what else would you urge people to do as it relates to coronavirus, as this is something, you know, you said yourself that we might see for a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think just try to calm down, to not panic, not overreact. I mean, looking at the experts, they feel like this is not a significantly lethal sort of viral infection. It's not 100% mortality, you know, more about 3% mortality. So most people who are healthy will just have flu-like symptoms. We still always talk about the ones that are immunocompromised, elderly, young. Those are the patients that really seem to have a problem with these new viruses. But most people, if they do have that infection, will be able to survive and move on. So I just want to try and calm fears about that, and we're on top of it. We have a system in place. This is the greatest country in the world, so we're going to take care of it and do the right thing for everybody.
All right. Well, Dr. Levine, thank you for your
Yes, sir.
expertise.
Yes, ma'am.
We appreciate it.